Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Rainbow Runner. And here we are. This is the final sunset of 2020. Yeah, this is being recorded on New Year's Eve of, 2020. So we are about 6.5 hours away from 2021. And I just wanted to kind of make this video just to kind of reflect and kind of recap all the things that have gone on this year. By the way, over there you can see the Gilbert Temple. I'll kind of go into more of that later. But yeah, I was also able to film here as part of my end of the year vlog at the end of 2019, and of course the 2010s decade by extension, fitting, concluding one of the best years of my life so far, 2019. But this, of course, ended up being basically the polar opposite, 2020. Maybe one of the worst years of my life. But it would be a complete and utter crime for me to say that 2020 had absolutely no stellar moments, because it definitely did. So, starting off January, it seemed like, yeah, a new decade, the 2020s, everything's going to be awesome. And at the beginning, as you probably saw, I had my rant video against COPA policies taking effect on YouTube, which maybe wasn't the greatest idea for me to do, but that was me. I mean, I still don't like them. I still have my opinions, but I just decided, I'm just going to have to deal with it and kind of go find ways around it and not let it be too big of an issue. So, and I was able to kind of do more rail fanning. I saw Jumanji, the second level, in theaters that month, I believe. Then at the end of the month, I was able to drive up to the top of South Mountain, right over there. And then moving into February, I was able to go through the Gilbert Temple, which I just showed you in a moment, to be endowed. And then I started doing my service mission. And I think that was pretty cool. That first month was just kind of a nice calm period for me to get into the swing of things for my mission. And and I should also mention I received my patriarchal blessing at the end of January. Then moving into March, we've had Leap Day, which was pretty cool. February 29th only comes around every 4 years. Next time it will happen will be 2024. And my sister Melody and her husband Carl, they moved away to Illinois at the beginning. I did some more stuff in the temple right before they left. And during those, I think it was like in February, I was able to watch the first season of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. And then March I was able to see Onward, Pixar's Onward. Pretty cool. I haven't seen Soul yet, by the way. I was able to see Onward, and then that's when pretty much the whole world started falling apart because of the COVID pandemic. There were people raiding the stores for toilet paper. Don't think it's really happening anymore, but seriously, back then, then of course things started shutting down. My church meetings started being suspended, and a lot of things. But thankfully, my service mission wasn't affected as much as it could have been. I was still able to go out and do my service. And then April was when General Conference started taking place, when President Nelson gave the proclamation to the world and really helped enlighten us. And I think April was when the stay-at-home order for Arizona was in effect. But of course, that never stopped me from going out to play Pokemon Go, doing my missionary service, and all that stuff. And I should also mention, back in March, I was able to get on TV with my service at the food bank. And I was also able to meet Chartreuse Rail Fanning in March, I believe on the same day. And then May was when things were trying to get back to normal, but some new problems arose. May 17th, if you may or may not remember, that was the dreaded evening, as I will refer to it as, because that was when I was robbed. But there were a few good things that to come here and there. Because, like, as you know, I'm a graduate of Chandler High School, class of 2019, but I also had some friends who were class of 2020, and they were affected as a result of school being canceled and all that stuff. And we were able to give a proper final performance to the choir director, Lori Lyford. Many of the current and former CHS choir members were able to do that, and I was able to get on TV again. Then, of course, there was the George Floyd incident causing all the rioting and looting. And going into June, there was like the curfew lasting for the week. And just many of the dark moments occurred that month. The robbery against me was probably the darkest moment, at least one of the darkest moments of not only 2020 but my overall life. But moving into June, there were some things that were trying to provide some respite for what's gone on. My family from Utah, including my cousins Peyton and Olivia, were able to visit for a week, and then we went back with them to Utah. I was able to go to Lagoon, and then me and my parents were able to travel to Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, seeing many sites, including Yellowstone National Park. And that set a record for the most new states visited in a single major trip, 3. The most states out of Arizona visited, old and new, 6. And tied for the most new states visited in a single year with 3, tied with 2019. That may have been the only major trip I had this year, but it was a good one. No doubt about that. And with that, unfortunately, my long-running streak of me visiting California at least once every calendar year since my very first Disneyland trip in 2005 is going to be shattered. But hey, at least at this point, my major trips are far from limited to California, so for all major trips, my streak does live on, at least for now. And at the end of the month, I was able to see Mark and Neanderthal up in North Phoenix. Not the one I filmed it, because I did it there was a time I visited them in November, but I saw them in Phoenix, North Phoenix, when they did the Cause for Pause event. And then I moved into the second half of the year. July, there was 4th of July, which was kind of typical. Did fireworks. And I was able to do a service project on a couple of weekends with my mission at ASU. And with that, and that was on one of the weekends we did it was on the weekend of Disneyland's 65th anniversary. Though still, my beloved Disneyland is nowhere near a reopening. I mean, I'm glad to not live in California, but it still hurts to think that my beloved Disneyland is affected by all of this. If only California politicians and all that weren't as strict and brutal. And there was also that catastrophe at Tempe Town Lake near the end of July with the train derailment. But there were plenty of good moments because I mean, church getting canceled, that we were able to do church at home with sacrament, that really helped reinforce the importance of home-centered worship, which was one of the reasons why they shortened it to 2-hour meetings instead of 3 hours in the first place. But when church started coming again, it was just sacrament, for obvious reasons. And so moving into August, there were some interesting things to note. My Melody was able to come back so that she can move her stuff to Illinois. My dad helped with that, and then I was able to pick up my dad at 2:30 in the morning down in Maricopa at the Amtrak station, because he rode the Amtrak back home. And with all the things that have gone on this year, Disney Plus has definitely been one of the things that kept me company, because there were plenty of the shows, like in addition to Mandalorian, there were plenty of the stuff, the old good shows that were on Disney Channel. Like I was able to see the first season of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I rewatched Gravity Falls, or actually it was my first time viewing Gravity Falls, but both seasons. And then then from August to the end of the year, I was binging Phineas and Ferb, because Candace Against the Universe came on Disney Plus, that new movie, which I thought was pretty good. And so yeah, Disney Plus definitely has helped me get through this year. But also being able to just enjoy some of the time with my family at home, like playing cards or doing some other stuff. It really also was one of the things that comforted me. Anyway, September comes. September, of course, is when my birthday was. I turned 20 this year. The teen years are over. and then at the end, there was the 60-game regular season for MLB finished. My D-backs were nowhere close to making it, but there was the 16-team bracket, 16 being 1-6. Yeah, imagine if there were 60 teams, like 6-0 teams in MLB, but there's 30. But yeah, 16 teams were able to make the postseason. General Conference was held again in October. I definitely enjoyed doing that, watching General Conference. And yeah, both of these General Conference were unlike any other, like President Nelson was predicting back in 2019. And then the World Series came, and even though the Dodgers beat the Rays to my dismay, I had a lot of fun watching the World Series, because particularly Game 4, or with the Rays making the epic comeback and the epic win, I reacted wildly. Honestly, one of the most intense World Series games that was not the final game. Another example of this would be Game 5 of 2017. And Halloween, I did have a party with my mission. Dressing up as Spider-Man and doing pizza time afterwards. I went and got Venezia's and all dressed up as Spider-Man. And I think it might have been back in August, but that's when I got to meet Mark, Railroad Train Spotter, and got to get into his vids. November, there were some things. I was able to get to see Mark and Neanderthal again when they did the St. Mary's Food Bank food drive in Phoenix. That was the one I actually filmed. Lots of stuff on YouTube I was able to watch. On Yell's Marble runs with the Marbula one, the Marble League. Those were pretty much the sporting events that weren't affected. Thanksgiving comes along, and Christmas. well, a lot of December, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. Well, okay, I guess in Pokemon Go, there were Mega Evolutions introduced this year. In Pokemon Go, they also added Pokemon from the Kalos region, X and Y. Fittingly enough, I was able to play through Kalos this year. And then I was actually able to get to level 40, which was originally the highest level you could go to in Pokemon Go. But now they expanded it up to 50. And I was able to get the Legacy Medal for reaching level 40. Was also able to play through Super Mario 3D Land. And during these last few months, the second season of Mando dropped, and it was such a thrill to watch. I won't spoil anything, but if you have Disney Plus, watch The Mandalorian. It's awesome. And then Christmas comes along. Kind of nothing to write home about very much. My Melody's brother-in-law Ian is actually living with us right now, kind of because he has a job down here. What else? And so overall, 2020, one of the worst years ever, but still, it definitely had stellar moments. And no, it's no exception to my quote, while some years are greater than others, every year has its great moments. But of course, we also sadly lost some of our beloved celebrities this year, including Charlie Daniels, the guy who wrote The Devil Went Down to Georgia, Grant Amahara, one of the hosts on Mythbusters, our King of Wakanda, and our Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, the rock legend Eddie Van Halen, might as well jump, had to do that, the James Bond and Indiana Jones's father, Sean Connery, Jeopardy host Alex Trebek, David Prowse, the man in Darth Vader's suit, and I think right before the last season of Mando launched for season 2, we also lost the original actor who played Boba Fett, I believe in Empire Strikes Back. Speaking of which, this year was also the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. And also something worth mentioning is that this November was the 25th anniversary of the first Toy Story being released. So, and my sister Melody was also born in 1995, and she just celebrated her 25th birthday on the 28th. So yeah. So overall, 2020 was that huge roller coaster of complications, like things getting better, things getting worse, and just lots of stuff hammering us down. Yeah, and to my dismay, they also turned off the comments on any auto-generated music on YouTube, but I'll definitely try to find my ways around it. And I still have a few other things to mention. On the 21st, on the winter solstice, they did have the great conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn in the southwestern sky. Oh boy. I still have some things to mention, but it keeps slipping my mind. But anyways, my point is, as you know, I'm glad I was able to live through 2020, even though there were some tough moments. I may not end up not being the person I will grow into if I wasn't able to go live through this year. But But yeah, right now I just wanted to thank all my viewers who watch my videos. Thank you for supporting me through this. And also thanks to all the people I've met and just everyone. You're great people. You mean the world to me. And I'm hoping that 2021 will be better to some extent. Yeah, I don't know how much better it'll be, but I'm sure 2021 will definitely have its stellar moments, and it's definitely a year that will be worth living through. So, but yeah, thanks once again, everybody, and Rainbow Runner will be heading out until 2021, which will be in about 6 hours, give or take. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. Rainbow Runner will be heading out. See you then. 2021.